Whoa, it's the illusion reporting from somewhere on spaceship Earth with my partner in crime promo code. What's up, promo
How
code?
are you, Hamish? How is it going? Good to see you.
Good to see me too. What's
Blessed
going
art thou with blessed art thou, the one who hath the most the promo codes.
That's it. That's it. We're all about it. Let me see. Where is this thing? I seem to have lost track of where did it go? Oh, there we are. Gunler reporting for duty. Nice, dude. All right, he's in. Let me what is this thing? Let's see if it kept the super real war, dude. I think it just clicked us right back into it, dude.
You get a
right.
Subaru ad. Did you get a Subaru ad that showed up in your feed?
Yeah, you're the Subaru ad, dude. Don't think you're not Mr. Subaru, man. How is the Subaru treating you?
Let's just say I love the road even more now.
Do you feel like
I just carefree? Like, you notice how I just rolled off my tongue? Like, I'm a Subi bro. That's how I say that to people now. Like, when I'm on the street, like, really, people think that that's like some like cool people who are all into Fords and stuff think that's like really like GAY, but I'm just a Subi dude now.
You are Subi dude.
You see how much I was feeling it when I say it? Like, I own it.
You should start swimming. I think you would be a quite a competitor if you found the right people to compete against. I think you could become the champion. You know,
that seems to be.
I think you should swim against small children. Dominate.
Midgets from Bangladesh.
Yeah, dominate this.
Small Bengali midgets from Bangladesh.
Small children, dude. That's where you should swim. So we wanted to get in on the super real war. Sure to anger many a person
super
who
real
wants
COVID-19. Sorry.
Yeah, everything's real.
Everything's super real in Ira's world. Super real.
Yeah, I'm sure they're making the no agenda guys have been ripping into it pretty heavily, dude.
Well, they're just making all their money back right now.
It is a big money making gig.
From the money they lost by giving everyone cash outs for the ventilator.
No, they made all their money on that too. This is the
no, but they're making that money. They're making that money back because they cashed people out for that, you know.
Yeah. It's a giant money harvesting energy operation.
Laundering operation.
Yeah, it's a soul laundering operation. It's
So where do you want to start?
What?
Where do you want to start? I mean, what?
I don't know, man. What are you feeling? Where do you want to go with this super real war? I'm gonna make a disclaimer first off. I think it'll help us out for the people that would see it the wrong way. I think that you and I both are. I don't want to speak for you, but I'm going to, because you drive a Subaru and you need someone to speak for you.
Sure.
So I think that we're both anti-war. We don't believe in war as a necessary means, that it's only serves the bankers and the warmongers and the profiteers. So with that said, we're adamantly against war in all its shapes and forms. And all wars are the same war, man. And with that said, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to fall. I don't want to fall into the trap. We're going to discuss this. What we have discussed is as this as being an artificial construct to its finest, which does not mean that there are not people being obliterated as we speak, because it is the sun's coming up over there in about 2 hours. And I know there's military hardware slamming into the side of buildings and people are suffering, but that doesn't mean that it's real. And I think we wanted to get into what is the difference between real and not real. Because again, is it on a people level, these are all military machines inflicting their profiteering upon the backs of clueless people, man. So don't anyone think that we don't believe that people are suffering. We're trying to stop the suffering by exposing the narrative for what it is. Is that accurate, or do you have anything to add on the disclaimer?
No, it's accurate. I mean, we just came off of, not even we just came off of, we've been getting inundated with propaganda our whole life.
Yes.
We've been victimized, if you want to use that word. I don't like to think of myself as a victim. I don't think anyone likes to think of themselves as a victim, but we have in some way, shape, or form been victimized by popular media and by just media in general. And we've grown up observing a lot of things that have been just fake. How do you slice it and dice it? I mean, we've been lied to so many times that why would anyone believe that this is any different? That's where I start from.
Totally. Well, before that, I think maybe we should define what we mean by fake, because I think that one of the things that's been used again.
Yeah. So let me the disclaimer from my side, and I'm sure you'd agree that when we see people displaced, when we see people being driven from their homes, when we see people going hungry, when we see children suffering and women suffering, aside from truth being the first casualty of war, women and children are usually the next. Yep. Or innocent people. So that is real. When we see people displaced, now you need that because those are optics. You need the displacement of people in order to convince the rest of the world that there's a humanitarian issue. That's how you get all these, woke, the same people who were advocating for your safety are going to be the same people that are advocating now for the safety of Ukraine. And they're the same people who are advocating for the safety of, the George Floydians, the George Floyd movement. And this is the oldest trick in the book from the same, tribe that I like to talk about. And it is that, but yeah. So it's not fake it's not fake that there's nothing going on, but what's fake is what we are told, opposed to the real story and the real motives. That is what's the real motives of what's happening and what we're being told. That's the fakeness, is what we're told, opposed to what is real. And the gap between the two is extremely huge. I would argue that's actually the complete polar opposite of what we're told, and usually.
Well, I that's again is one of the things that I think that's usually going on is the obviousness of that narrative is being laid right in front of us, and we're being told to not see it. So you have people were sending me the footage of the people turning the convoy around today, right? Which was 2 trucks turning the convoy around again. And I've argued from Jump Street that's all that actually needed to occur was repeat Ottawa in Ukraine. A whole game's over. But who advocated for them to resort to violence was a TV actor whose entire cabinet and infrastructure is a production crew. So that's the one thing that where I just go on that, just that level alone, that Zelensky is a TV actor and a comedian, and most of the people that surround him are his former production crew. If that isn't put it in plain sight for most people to see that this is an actual production. Again, the best form of production is real. Like, you know, it's Borat. To me, it's just,
it goes to that saying of make it so absurd and so unbelievable that people believe it. You know, that is the.
Well, I think the trouble with that we're going to try to chip away at here a little bit is so Borat, right, infiltrated himself as a fake person and basically punked people, right, like real time. I think what we have going on here is a Borat, and it's a Borat, but again is where the real tough thing to break free is the fact that this version of Borat, people are dying. People are being killed. Women and children are being displaced into the hands of human traffickers. And again, the rubblization of people's homes and communities is occurring. I have no doubt about it. But where I think that people are afraid to speak up on this thing is that this is super obvious. And again, the obviousness is the tragedy of it all, because this never needed to happen. This has, and again, this serves the agenda where I don't think people see it clearly is Vladimir and NATO and all of them all come from the same source material dialogue, if you will. They're all reading off the same script. There is no actual conflict in the controller mechanism. This all serves the agenda, and everyone's going to see that this serves the agenda perfectly. And when they get on the other side of this thing and realize that they got duped because of their own emotional inability to separate the actual scam from the actual horrible truth. You know what I mean? Because the agenda is obvious to me. This is the.
What do you think the agenda is?
Well, this again is to move us towards the rationing of food, petroleum products, red meat. Again, they're boldly talking about it in the last week of like, yeah, we're going to have gas holidays and environmental lockdowns, and you're talking about, you know, huge portions of grain being removed from the world economic supply chain, right? And everyone's like, oh, well, whatever, dude. That food goes to feed all the animals that you make your omelets with. You think an omelet comes from outer space, dude. It doesn't. It comes from a chicken that eats grain. And unless you're growing your own chickens, you're dependent upon that grain being loaded into cargo container ships that run off of fuel that are going to get here. So again, as this all seems to be a massive get people to bleeding heart support the continuation of this narrative.
Yeah, I think it's that. I mean, I definitely think that the tightening of the supply chain and resources in general. I mean, I understand Russia to be far more superior in its natural resources than, say, somewhere like America. And maybe arguably the whole Western Hemisphere is far more inferior in its resources than, say, that whole region of Russia. And it looks like, I don't know, I mean, it looks like, you know, when I have a friend of mine who's in a cybersecurity company who's been offered numerous times to be bought out by Israeli companies. He's like a big time like Silicon Valley guy. He's one of the few that anyway, so he was saying that the whole NFT and crypto thing, I asked him, I said, do you think that this is to distract the younger generation that's up and coming right now? Do you think it's to distract them and to get them to not be a competitor in the market, to not have any competitive sway against any rivals, and to really keep them busy with imaginary stuff like NFTs and Bitcoin and things that have no intrinsic value at all? He's like, yeah, that's exactly what's happening. So while I mentioned that, because it looks like this whole narrative, what it's doing is it's driving these and converging a whole entire new global economy, which is, everything is being shifted to that Eastern bloc of Russia, China, Israel, and this whole new, because Russia has access to all the resources and China has the ability to actually do stuff. It has the mechanisms in place to build. And so it just looks like the new sort of 2030 and rolling into 2030 is to make it more readily, the global market more accessible and more fruitful, I guess, for those for the bankers that are involved in that. These are the BlackRocks and the Vanguard group and these people. So I do believe it's a shortage of things. That's one thing, but I think that's a residual that's going to be affected from what's really happening, which is the restructuring of the economy and the whole digital security apparatus, which I think is
that's what I mean is underneath the surface. It again is where the sticking point of this thing is to actually go to the bigger picture. Look at this: is you're inhumane, you're inhumane. You don't care about blown up babies. You don't care. Again, it's the same narrative that began the coup, right? And so, but that's what's going on the macro, the micro, right? Is if you're in some village in Eastern Ukraine, you're screwed, right? But again, pulling the lens back, is the people of Ukraine have been sacrificed in the name of this global restructuring of economies, global restructuring of resources. Because again, is where we're going to see it is to the people that are staring at the price on the sign in front of the gas station, right? They are having a twofold horror show experience, right? On one level, it's very emotional. On one level, it's very practical. Both of them are both from the cauldron of bad vibes, right? And again, is where I see it a little bit differently than the average bear, is this works. This is the catalyst they needed to move the global infrastructure in a certain direction. The whole thing that Putin is some outlier is ridiculous to me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's the biggest hustle on the whole thing. The fact that they've got Putin as an outlier and they have the hero is a TV actor, and the ineptitude of the West. So the West, who again is, if you're paying attention to this thing, they sent over, I believe, 2,800 Stinger tow missiles, whatever they are, the tank killing missiles, right? That was the first right. They're sending over another 2,000 of these tank destroying shoulder fired missile tow, whatever the heck they're called, right? There's more of these man-pad missiles or whatever the heck they are to destroy every tank that's over there, like threefold now, right? So the armaments are moving, but they're not going where they're saying. They're not being used as they're saying. The GPS systems are working. The satellites are broadcasting the signal. They're still live streaming out of
COVID-19.
They're still live streaming out of downtown Kiev. They still need all these satellites to zoom in their surface to air missiles that fly 1,200 miles from the middle of Russia to these little towns. Again, is where people aren't looking at it is the infrastructure has not been disabled for the actor in the building or the machinery that's inflicting the suffering, right? Both of those require, in today's day and age, the actual functioning of the infrastructure.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but just to what you're saying, I mean, it's for the most part, Gaza, Palestine is dark, has been dark for a long time, meaning that, you know, cell phone and access to 5G and 4K video and like that's lunacy. It's coming, you know, yes, there's local filmers that are filming on the ground. But to what you're saying, it's like, I mean, Ukraine has a whole entire infrastructure still very much intact. So there's like all this, you know, content coming out of there, which seems to be it's just another interesting tidbit of
again, is where I tend to operate on these things and where I think most people hold themselves back is I tend to look at these things as the perpetrator of the evil, right? That's one of my skills, I guess I have, is I go, what would I do if I were the evil dude who's a psychopath with no consciousness, no care? And the first thing I would have done was dismantle all electronic communications, right?
Yeah, totally.
That would have been my first move. Like, now we're 25 days into this thing. So you're telling me that they haven't just done the electromagnetic burst over downtown Kiev and just black that city out so that the actor known as Zelensky can't broadcast his lines. The fact that dude's still broadcasting lines to me is wag the dog. I mean, I don't get who's not watching this, who isn't going, this is wag the dog with the t-shirt and the whole thing. And I don't get it. I don't get how anyone's can't see that they're being goaded into supporting violence. Like, again, the move would have been 25 days ago for the Ukrainian people literally to stand arm in arm in front of the first tanks rolling in and just been like, now what? We're nonviolent, peaceful protesters. Now what? Now what? And then you would have had your either massacre moment, which would have been justified to go in and smoke these fools, or they would have turned around and left. Because how long did the 40-mile convoy sit there? The 40-mile remember the 40-mile convoy like 2 weeks ago? There's a 40-mile convoy heading to Kiev. Yeah. 40 miles of convoy. I don't, it does, none of it makes any sense. Like on the like, oh my God thing. It's nonsense.
Yeah, I guess in simplistic terms, I'm like, it's there really is very, very, very evil people that want to scare the hell out of people that are infatuated with getting their media from mainstream sources. And I mean, I think that's the biggest, which is maybe obviously an obvious takeaway for your audience, and which, you know, obviously they're not, I just said obvious like 10 times.
That's obvious.
They're not people to even take mainstream media serious, but there is a 95, 97%, or I don't know, maybe at least over 90% of the population that does. And that's scary to me more than anything, because it's like, at this point, you could spin anything, any direction you want.
Any direction, man.
And people will about face to the command of whatever you're stating, if propaganda. That to me is the greatest. That to me is the greatest. Whatever the other things that are going on, that to me is the greatest proof of where we've arrived as humanity, being disconnected from God and being so much controllable, which is, it's sad.
Well, I think there's also a certain like weird, like it's this weird naivete that people have. And I don't quite understand it. And I think it's lack of ability to look in the mirror. Like, so you think that so America, right? Let's look in our own lens for America. America is a country that has celebrated and supported the destruction of countries throughout the world, right? It's like, rah, rah, yeah, got the flags up, the whole thing, right? And we over in America think that the dudes over there in Russia aren't the same. That the Russian people are like, man, nah, not us. Like, we're with the Americans. Like, that's not how it works. The Russian people are like, go get them. Just like the American people have sat on the sidelines while we've supported Saudi Arabia's destruction of Yemen, while we've supported the destruction of Libya, Iraq. We sat and rah, and we got the nerve to sit there and think that those people aren't doing the same thing.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's where I'm like, and I'm not being insensitive to the people of Ukraine. I'm being insensitive to the media who's telling me to be sensitive on their terms. And I will understand it the way I want to understand it without their intervention. Because as a Muslim from 1996 pre 9/11, after 9/11 happened, honestly, I would say almost for 12 years thereafter, I had gotten hassled so badly from the US government, from Homeland Security, from FBI, simply on the fact of me being a Muslim. So all the things that you would hear about interrogation, about being locked into a little room and being questioned. And then after, and arriving fast forward to now, I'm like, I got to sit back and watch for 25 years of me being Muslim, and even prior to that, but witnessing as that so many of the countries and the people, and I mean, my own family, like the amount of hell that's been heaped on them, and it's real. Like that was real. That when Madeleine Albright says 500,000 children that died from US sanctions was a price worth paying, that along with so many other, that was what we know publicly. That was what was publicly admitted. So I just find, again, I'm not being insensitive to the Ukrainian people or what might be happening over there, but I want to be sensitive on my terms, not the way that the media tells me. And that's the distinction.
Well, and again, this goes back to our original disclaimer. As a person who's adamantly opposed to war, the most loving thing we can do is actually dispel the myth that this is anything but serving the beast, that these people are being fed as sacrificial beings to the beast. And we, as human beings, have a responsibility to call BS on what's going on, because all wars are manufactured. There are no wars that are justified. That we're not talking about the Huns rolling down into from the north into wherever in 5,000 years ago or 2,000 years, whatever, dude. Got my dates off. I don't even believe in the timeline. What I'm talking about is we live in an informed world right now. And the fact is these people got set up set up and they got tricked into thinking that if they resisted this thing, that they were actually going to get some sort of victory, support. I don't know what they thought they were going to get once the shooting starts. They had a moment. They could have stopped it all with nonviolent civil disobedience, but they chose to listen to a horrible human being say, throw Molotov cocktails and let's dump out crates of AKs and get your girlfriend to go train with you. I saw this story the other day on Sky News or whatever, and it was literally like the romance of married couples training to use armaments to defend their city. And it was so pathetic because, again, that's not courageous or bold. That's pathetic that this is what
they're inciting this they're trying to incite the spirit of whatever inside people, that this is something normal to do, to get, take you and your fiance to go and ride to the border with just married spray painted on your car.
But see, where I again want to dispel what is the fraud going on here. That message isn't about the Ukrainians. That message is being broadcast for Americans.
Absolutely.
That message is for Q-tards and Trump-tards to think that if they battle against the United States military industrial complex on their home soil, they stand a chance. That's what's going on a certain level here too, is to trick the 2A wannabe patriots to thinking that they could actually engage in an armed conflict with the United States government right now and pull it off. We couldn't, because we've already missed the opportunity. 2 years ago was when that would have happened. But we're way past that. This is insanity. The fact that people believe the narrative and don't see that they are prey to the narrative. They're the fodder for the narrative. Do the people run around with their yellow and blue flags and they're like, oh my God, for the children thing? They are the fodder. Energetically speaking, they have been duped into supporting violence, even in opposition. Because again, if you want to support the stopping of violence, then Yemen should probably go right to the front of the line, dude. Because that is unjustified on all terms. And again, is what are the phone calls with what was Saudi Arabia finagling with Sleepy Joe and the petrodollar and the yen the other day, saying that we need more weapons for Yemen. And no one's paying attention to that. As all this stuff's going on in Ukraine, Joe, the Saudis aren't picking up the phone call. That's what's really going on, is they're trying to get us to shuffle more weapons over to blast the Yemenis, man. So I don't.
I mean, we're it's
Well, I mean that's the thing, right? That's what we're trying. That's what's fake about this whole thing. The fake is the supposed empathy. The fake is the humanitarian crisis. That's the fake part about this. The
NGOs who are locked up for child rape.
There is no love going on for children if you allow one segment of the world's children population to be destroyed and harmed by the same weapons and claim that you're here to defend others. That's what I want to say is the fakeness of this whole thing. As right now on this planet, as the sun rises in the Ukraine right now, the sun also rises in Yemen. The sun also rises in Syria. And somehow we've sat back and the sun rises in Palestine. And we've sat back for how long's Palestine been going on? 70 years? Something like that?
Since, technically since 1948, but,
yeah, it's 70 years.
Yeah.
75 years that's been going on in Palestine. Children have been harmed. Yemen, what's Yemen been going on? A decade now? Something like that. Syria's been going on 8 years.
I mean, Yemen even longer probably than that. I mean, yeah.
So again, is what are we trying to spell? Is yeah, this is theater, dude. This is theater to take a nice suburban housewife, have her actually justify the military industrial arms complex shipping weapons to civilian populations to fight one of the larger well-armed armies of the world in the name of democracy. Wow, that same suburban housewife turns a blind eye to the children of Yemen, the children of Saudi Arabia, the children of Syria.
Well, that's the obvious. It's almost like that this whole thing is sort of a release valve for all the guilt, the would-be guilt that, we should be feeling. When I say we, I'm saying those who have watched for years the abuse should be feeling, but use Ukraine as a release valve for all the other,
But what if it's the opposite? What if it's not the release valve for guilt and shame? What if it's the release valve for true violence and hatred and anger? What if it's the exact opposite? That's what I've been arguing, that this is deliberately being scripted to have normal. You want to
Hi,
say?
Jordan.
Hi, buddy. How are you, Owl?
I just want to go and visit my sisters.
Oh, nice. That's cool. You had fun?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
He's out.
buddy. I see that. I totally get where you're coming from on that, and yeah, that seems very valid.
Because because again, it's if this is about anything else, then it should be blanket statement that we're going to go down to the Rand Corporation here in Santa Monica and surround it and go, you must stop this. You, the Rand Corporation, must stop what you've been doing now for our entire lives. We must go to Northrop Grumman and go, you must stop what you're doing. And because again, this is all about selling weapons, man. If you listen to the news and remove the humanitarian aspect of it, if you listen to what they're saying without the bombed little old ladies in her babushkas or in her babushka, right? If you don't listen, if you take that out of the script and you listen to what these people are talking about, they are talking about ramping up the spending and building of more armaments on a planet that's saturated with weaponry. Now, that's all I hear going on is justification to send more weapons to more places for more people to touch and get the bad juju on their soul. And
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of levels to this, but I think one of the things is whether they're trying to coax Americans towards a civil war or not. I almost think that, I mean, that's possible, but I almost think that like Americans are in general, not all, but in general, majority of America is very much, broken morally.
yes,
Absolutely. And it's very hard to fight for anything aside from your own ability to continue eating and watching pornography. The way of life in America, America used to have a way of life that we could say we could point to it and say that was the American way of life. And there was morals, and there was, I'm saying by and large, right? There was a moral fabric to Americanism. That has been eroded to such an extent now that I don't know if there would ever be, or the need for, anything other than what has been happening. Like another, I mean, I could see another like sort of a George Floyd scenario where people are encouraged to go and burn some cities down. But I think the real war is the moral degradation and the demoralization war, just to further break up America in general. Those that might be having a little bit of strength and a little bit of kick left in them, to break them up.
Yes.
To make this big shift to the new banker frontier, which is, over there. But
well, I'm right there with you. I think that's part of this thing, right? Is in the weird flip side is instead of war being futile in the name of prosperity and growth and brotherhood and unity, right? Which has been where most people who have battled against war have come from, right? That war is a futile concept because we could all live in harmony and brotherhood and peace. What's going on now is the final demoralization, that war is futile because you need to live as subservient subjects to the feudal state of the oligarchs, that you don't have the ability to manage your own stuff. Look at you. Given your own devices, you'll throw Molotov cocktails at an overwhelming army of tanks, dude, and blow up your own country. You guys can't be trusted to do your thing. So I think they're flipping the script very beautifully and using this as the final truth of like, yeah, there's no win in war. Like nobody wins over there, dude. Like, again, the dudes in Russia are going to go back to their life. The dudes in Poland and NATO, they're going to go back to their life. The people in the Ukraine are going to welcome the Chinese in to build the Belt and Road Initiative in their southern ports. That's what's going on. If you look at the map of like what is really going on, and Putin said so himself, their big concern right now is making sure that they get seeds into the ground because they plan on getting those ports rebuilt with Chinese dollars to get the Belt and Road Initiative going right through, right linking.
And Israel is at the center of that.
Israel, you look at what's going on with Italy. It goes right through the whole thing, dude. It's like
I think it's called the bunting cloverleaf.
Yeah, and this falls in perfect.
It's a clover. Yeah.
So again, is where people don't see is this is them scrubbing the chessboard and going, okay, you know what? We need all these people out of the way, and they will gladly let us build this back up, man. And again, the tragedy of the people is they're operating off of emotion instead of the brutal truth that they're being played. We've been played for my entire life.
Do you see the bunting cloverleaf? Do you want to see it?
Let's see the bunting cloverleaf. Wait, hold on. Okay, yeah, sure, totally.
Jerusalem in the center.
Yeah, well, what again is where I think that people are getting duped on this whole deal, and to get back to our whole premise of what we're trying to do here, is this is a super, what was the title of this thing? Super real war. It absolutely is the super real war, but the war isn't it isn't about Ukraine. It's got nothing to do with Ukraine. Ukraine is the sacrificial lamb. And that's crappy, dude. If you were a kid, again, and I will say it from this perspective, the Lego community is huge in the Ukraine, or it used to be, right? If you go to Bricklinks right now, the Lego stores on Bricklinks are huge. Those are independent people, just like me over in the Ukraine, right? So you're talking about people with Lego sets just got wiped off the map, right? I know what that must be like, right? I don't look at anything in the Ukraine any further than myself. And I go, these people got tricked to be the sacrificial lambs. And they've been revving it up for 8 years, dude. I mean, to the point where that like some Russian general got killed the other day, and they did his big thing on him. And again, people don't want to read between the lines. They did the big talk about, oh, this is the Russian general got killed. He's responsible for leading the massacre of 1,000 Ukrainian troops at some battle in 2014, right? And so the takeaway is, oh, they got an evil guy. To the people that can't look any further than the pablum they're being fed. If you just took a lens out, you're like, wait a minute, dude. 1,000 dudes were killed in some battle in the Ukraine in 2014? Huh? There was like some massacre where 1,000 dudes got smoked by the Russians. Huh? So yeah, let's so this didn't just start 25 days ago. That's where people are dumb. This did not start 25 days ago. And that's the theater of this whole thing. It was literally, okay, like they literally had a thing and go, action. And roll in the actor controlled by the West, literally reading from the script with his bleeding heart. If you don't do this, you guys are World War III, blah, 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 blah. And again, I have full empathy for the people that got smoked by this deal. But they're trying to get everyone else to get smoked by this deal. I mean, look at how hard they've tried to discredit the Canadians. And now it turns out that like there was no outside money coming, that the largest donation they had on GoFundMe was $30,000 and it came from within Canada. There was no, it's a con because they tried to trick the Canadians to go violent and they wouldn't. They were like, man, we're not doing that, right? I literally think you could have dropped off crates of AK-47s at those protests in Canada, and they would have just literally looked at them and just been like, we're not touching those things, dude.
Yeah, I don't, I know I'm gonna get picked on for this, but I know we're seeing a lot of footage that's coming out of Ukraine showing different things, and we know that a few of them for sure are fake, whether they're from a video game or the Ghost of Kiev and this and that and the other. What I find interesting is that it's never been, or it's not a Russian like hallmark to even do war, to be, aside from Afghanistan, yeah, but that was, they're not, I don't know. I get, so there's a Yuri Bezmenov quote. I'll read to you and you can deduce the meaning from it.
Go to reliable Yuri Bezmenov, who called all this out when 30 years ago, 35 years ago.
Yeah, but this is a fascinating quote because, this is, to me, this is sort of encapsulates the exact antithesis of what's happening right now. The highest art of warfare is not to fight at all, but to subvert anything of value in the country of your enemy until such time that the perception of reality of your enemy is so screwed up to such an extent that he does not perceive you as an enemy. You can take your enemy without a single shot being fired.
Yeah. Just throw a 6'2" dude in a onesie bathing suit and watch people cower, dude.
Yeah, just have a guy.
We don't even need to get into the specifics because we'll get banned on that channel. But that's all you got to do in America right now is throw a 6'2" dude in a onesie bathing suit and have him swim and watch people.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, we have been, and honestly, unfortunately, majority of America has been completely demoralized. Even, I would even suffice to say, even us, when I say not like from an arrogant standpoint, we have to admit that there's parts of us that have been demoralized, and we're in a constant state of healing because of the things that we may not act as demoralized people, but there's things that we're still healing from all the junk that's been, tossed on us from our childhood. So,
well, that's why
I don't really buy this idea that, again, I believe people are being displaced, and I believe criminals or thugs locally have been given weapons. I don't believe that I don't even believe that there's something called a Russian military that's shooting. Okay, one person made an interesting observation. Maybe it was you, or it was I don't know if it was my friend. He said that, I think he said that there's no missiles going from Ukraine to Russia. There's only missiles coming from Russia to Ukraine.
sure. No, this is again, this
You
is
know what I mean? So it's like, what? I mean, come on.
well, that's what I mean is the theatrics of it are genius, because again it seems to be very obvious if you take a step back that I just come down to the thing is they're still broadcasting. And how are they still like literally, dude, the storm blows through my area, dude, and they shut down the power and turn everything off because they're afraid of a fire, right? You're talking about a country that is literally, according to the media or the footage that were received, being rubblized, and they still have their internet up and running, dude. I don't understand it. And the Elon and his Skylink, dude. Yeah, okay, whatever, dude. There's just too many holes in the story. Again, is you can say what you want, but they've showed that bridge with the white van that's flipped over for 3 weeks now, and people crossing the river on the piece of wood. I mean, there's some pretty radical footage. You can go look for it, and I'll argue that's legit. Like, yeah, there's guaranteed.
I don't believe any of the footage I'm seeing. I don't. I mean, there's some footage. I'm sure I'll be proven wrong, but I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. Why are they showing me that? Why are they showing me that? That's why I want to know.
Well, again,
after 2 years of being insulted, after 2 years
Sure.
and some change of being majorly insulted, and people being murdered.
Did you see speaking of being insulted, do you see
murdered in hospitals, murdered?
Did you see that the CDC changed its coding thing the other day and it dropped the numbers a bunch? Like the CDC changed.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah. No, we've been subjected. It's no different than the hospital ships and the dudes driving around with.
That's what I mean. It's like I have a hard time. It's like a guy comes up to you every day, all day long, and lies to you, and then he tells you right before you go to bed, he's like, I promise you this time I'm telling you the truth, and he is telling you the truth, but you got to be stupid to believe it.
But this is where
I've been.
This is where I think that we fall the trap is a little bit is I think it's like this. I think that what we're seeing is all right, let's put it like this. Let's say a dude walks into a store and shoots a woman and kills her in the bread aisle at a market, right? And we're sitting there and they come out in the news and they're like, man enters supermarket, murders woman in bread aisle because he's a terrorist, right? It was a terrorist plot to murder this woman. Underneath the scene, underneath the thing, it was a domestic violence a dude who was jilted and went and just tracked her down at the bread aisle and killed her. But the news is telling you it's a terrorist came into the community and killed this person because he looked the part, right? He was a dude who looked like you, and she was like a white princess, right? And so it looks all this stuff. So what I think that where we get thing is like the lie is the story being promoted through the scene.
Like
but there's still a dead chick in the bread aisle of the market. Like from either way, yeah. Like I can't go because you look at the coof, right? The 2 years of coof, like dead people all over the place. The lie was how they ended up like that, right? But where they got everybody, where they battered everybody and desensitized or censored everybody is the term I was looking for. Where they censored everybody was going that it's fake. It wasn't fake. Granny was dead. How she ended up dead was the lie.
I'm not saying that. Look, you're talking to someone who's seen as a Muslim again and again and again, Muslim countries being invaded and slaughtered, and slaughtered over and over and over again. No, none of that was fake. Yes, it was fake in the way that they were accused of attacking America. They were accused of being this, that, and the other. And
yellow cake uranium, dude. Yellow cake uranium. Steel tubes.
Yellow cake. Yeah, yellow cake.
No, that's what I mean. Is like I think
I don't think this is anything different. I'm saying
with you on that.
When I'm looking at pieces of media now, opposed to even 9/11, the sophistication now. I mean, there's sometimes I look at I'm like, how is Joe Biden up there every day talking when the guy doesn't look like, I mean, at 75 years old, I don't know how old he is, but do elderly men, do they have that much energy? I don't know. And so that's where I'm like, I wonder about when I see media, that was one, I'm going to divert a little bit. One of the things I have my teacher here recently, and I was asking him about the magic of Pharaoh, because Pharaoh did a lot of magic to control people. He had his magicians, and the magicians, they would cast these different illusions, and by their illusions, people would get scared and they would follow the dictates of their Pharaoh. So I asked him, what was that? And what were they using then? What are they doing now? He said they're using the same exact formula, which is they took shapes and colors and manipulated them to impress upon the people, whatever they were trying to do. And I just see that the media now, in the way that it is, I look at it as just that, as a piece of magic that's very real. So when I look at it, I don't look at it as a means of trying to communicate any sort of truth for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm not saying that people are not dying or suffering. I'm just not going to understand it in terms of what the media is telling me. If I another way and read between the lines, then that's what I do. But
I get what you're saying, and I think we're on the same page about it. But the thing is, they control the language, right? Is in order for us to describe it, we have to go through this mental gymnastics because our language is an artificially constructed language, right? Again, as it goes back to what is the English language, and the English language is an artificially constructed language based upon all these other root languages and words and stuff. So that language keeps us captive constantly. So when we try to talk about these things, right, what you and I understand exactly what we mean by this is fake and this is a contrived narrative. To the average person that hears that world, they think of paper mache mannequins going, and we're not talking about them faking any of this. We're talking about the narrative behind it is totally being manipulated to fake a spell, which is to get you to do something. But we have such limited words to describe what it is that we're experiencing that we fall victim to their control of the language to label us as insane people. And there's one other thing that's been really bothering me lately, and it's I find hard sometimes to articulate it, but it's
it's this gross, like, if you look on one side, there's this gross, like, sort of, and I don't like to use the word liberal and left and all that, but if you want to say like liberal left media of like all the pushing for like all the stuff, you know, all the things that are the complete opposite of godliness and spirituality and moral, all the opposite of moral goodness. And all these things are happening, you know, proliferate, growing in a massive rate. Pornography, child sex trafficking, all this stuff is happening at such an alarming rate. It's becoming more prevalent and more normalized, whether it's Disney, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'm supposed to like, and then there's some football and sports mixed in, and then I'm supposed to like shift to this other story about a war,
Yeah.
And what I have a hard time with is that right here, just like if people believe government was really for our betterment and for the goodness of the people, it would make a lot of sense for them to, and we know the obvious answer to this, but it's hard for me. I think it's hard for us to take any of this stuff serious because of the gross hypocrisy in respect to what, like, America in general doesn't have any moral ground to stand on.
No.
Based on what we're indulging and engaging in every day. And that's why when I look at these pieces of media that are coming at me, I'm like, really, you're going to feed me that when you're just like, when all I have to do is just grow my hair out, shave my beard, and shoot, I could swim faster than like 20,000 chicks out there. Probably I've always wanted to win a championship as a swimmer.
Well, but I see where I think that where we can actually discredit this whole thing to prove that it's a con is I saw someone in the comments, like, because I'm going to keep going on, and it's the same reason I hem and haw about cryptocurrency and the whole same thing. If you just go, there's a 2003 article on EMP weapons from Washington State Department of Health, right? And again, where people don't get where it is the fact that Zelensky is broadcasting, or anybody for that matter is broadcasting from the Ukraine, is proof that this is a con job, because the electromagnetic bombs that they have are designed for localized areas. Dude, this thing from 2003 goes on about it, is the fact that they haven't, in one of their little missiles, detonated an EMP above downtown Kiev or anywhere in the Ukraine for that matter, is the same thing that I kept calling out back in 2020 when about all the riots that were going on. Why aren't they using all the tools they have? How come there's no drones in the sky? How come they aren't using the electromagnetic weaponry that they have, the non-lethal sound weapons, the microwave weapons? They didn't use any of that stuff, but they all of a sudden broke all that stuff out in Australia all of a sudden, and we're frying people with it. So when I look at what's going on with Ukraine, I don't care about any of the other stuff. The fact that that little actor creepy guy sits there from his little shirt, his little green chair with his little green t-shirt on, and he can broadcast his little bleeding heart message to the world that we need to do this, is proof that this is a con, because no self-respecting leader or general would be like, no, let's leave their electronics alone. In 2022, the first thing you would want to do is take out the electronic means of communication for your enemy, right? Like, I don't get how anyone's not getting past that. Like, to me, that's the smoking gun. The smoking gun is they haven't radio silenced Zelensky. And that's proof that Putin's in on it and the Russians are in on it, because the first thing you would have done is zap that dude's ability to get a signal out of downtown Kiev. And that's, to me, is I don't need to go any further than that, dude. I've been struggling with Zelensky from day one, dude, of like the short little actor, dude, with this dick jokes. You know, and I don't get how people haven't seen past that level of it. It's like, we are all dependent upon this stuff. It's literally an EMP pulse scrambles all the electronics, all the vehicles. Like, do you get that? It's all the vehicles too. It's not just the cars. It's all the tow missiles. All that stuff runs on electronics. You're telling me that they haven't done that just to take out all the electronic weaponry going on. The drones, all of it are dependent upon electronics. They didn't EMP anywhere in the Ukraine. What? Right. What? No one's asking that question. No one's asking that question. That these guys didn't come in and be like, you know, the first thing we need to do, we're like, so you're telling me the generals, let's go do the war room for a second, Jordan. You and I, we're day before, the week before invading. We're gonna invade. We're gonna circle the Ukraine. We're gonna invade. So Jordan, we're gonna drive a bunch of tanks in there, bunch of troops and stuff. Yeah, we're going up against a modern society with the backing of the West. What do you think the main thing we need to do, Jordan, is to like secure victory?
We need to take out the infrastructure.
Yes. And in 2022, what is the main infrastructure of any society right now?
The telecommunications and internet.
So let me get this straight. Every war that's ever been had, the first thing you do is take over the radio station, right? Whenever there's a coup, a revolution, we go for the radio station. Why? So they can stop broadcasting their message. So Jordan, on this war, I don't think we should do that. I think what we should do, Jordan, is I think we should roll a bunch of tanks in there and just fight it out. Seemed like a good idea, right? We should let
or just go in with a convoy, like a 40-mile long convoy, so that we back up the whole roads and we get ourselves stuck.
We're not going to bring no gas, dude.
And we let everyone know, we let the enemy know where we're at, and we just get stuck there so they can come in and you know, just bomb us.
Yeah, I don't look, this is where I'm struggling as a general, Jordan. I don't think we should cut off.
Let me hold on. I gotta put my general's hat on. Okay, I'm ready. Go ahead there.
I like this guy. They're not allowed to use these weapons by international law. Okay. Like, that is such a weird, like.
Who said that? Someone said that in your chat?
Yeah, they're not allowed to be using soldiers to according to international law, Gary the Cult, dude. They're not allowed to have soldiers in front of a microphone crying about mama, telling the enemy to surrender. That is against the Geneva Convention, dude, by the way. Like, if you want to talk about international law and the violation of so that's a dumb argument, dude, because this whole thing's a
I think that you can just go over there and join, if I'm not mistaken. If you're from like a neighboring country, you want to go help out the Ukrainians, you can go and just bring your machine gun from your friend who was in the military, and you can just cross the border and join the you just got to send an email.
That's the insanity of the people that they can't wrap their head around the nonsense. So it's okay to do one thing, but I like this guy. There's rules to war in the modern war, dude, and they're following the rules, dude.
Yes,
I don't know how you live in that sort of.
There's an old motto by the Mossad. It says, "Make war by deception." It's kind of like how the whole world has been taken over. But go ahead there, Hamish. Go ahead.
So yeah, we're gonna. So I think the strategy on this, Jordan, is we need everyone to be able to communicate, but we're gonna bomb the civilians. That would keep us a clear conscience, right? Like, because there's rules. According to this dude, all sides are violating the Geneva Convention, Gary V. Like, so that's null and void, dude. It's against the Geneva Convention to take your captured soul. This is the people they're talking out of their ass, dude. Like, it gets me so. This is like the problem. It's all the stuff that's going on over there. Like, so is arming civilians, dude. So is everything that's going on. And no one cares. You think these people care? They don't care. Like, that's some sort of weird hubris of just like, oh, there's rules. There's no rules in war.
That's how wars win. Yeah. Okay, guys. We're gonna like sit down.
No, but this guy, like,
guys, I want to let you know.
But this is what I'm talking. This is the why people. This is such nonsense. This dude thinks that EMP weapons have anything to do with nuclear war, dude. They don't have anything to do with nuclear war, dude. Like, again, dude, just go pull up the article on EMPs, dude. They're localized non-nuclear EMP weapons, dude. They have, like, that's you're talking 1950s thinking or 1984's thinking of like, oh, the nuclear weapons cause an EMP pulse and that's it. No, again, this is the theater. I fell for it, dude.
Hamish, did you get the package? Oh, Schmegma, how are you? Look, Schmegma. COVID-19.
You can literally, Gary, cult guy, literally go do your research and pull up electromagnetic pulse weapons, dude.
Oh, there's a crowd control device
right here, dude.
That's one of the functions of it.
These are like
many functions.
Several nations, with the United States at the forefront, are reported to have developed non-nuclear bombs capable of generating EMPs. EMP bombs are specialized non-nuclear tools designed to destroy information systems. These devices are primarily intended for the battlefield application, and their effects would be restricted to a relatively small area, dude. Again, this is why you're discredited, because like the information's right there for you, dude.
Well, there's electromagnetic crowd control. That's different from electromagnetic pulse, Gary. Gary, come on, buddy. You need to wake up a little, lighten up a little bit, Gary. Come on.
You need to wake up, dude. And so everyone's playing. But this is the weird mentality of like, there's rules. So you're actually justifying war, dude. And that's what's so scary about that mindset, dude. There's no rules in war. War by itself is again, if you're gonna go on the whole thing, dude, the violation is all over the place, dude. So it's the warmongers, man. There's rules, so it's okay. It's not okay, dude. That's the theater right there. Everyone can take out everyone's communications, dude. I guess if you want to lose, you'll follow the rules.
Okay, guys, there's some rules we got to play by here.
I'm going to shoot you by the rules, dude.
And then when I shoot you at 3 o'clock, you can retaliate, but not until 3 o'clock, because that's the rules. If you go before 3 o'clock and if you break the rules, then how are you gonna, like,
Gary? No, hold on, dude. Gary, dude, I'm gonna read this again to you, dude.
Berninsky. This is a big new.
Let's hear it, Gary. Just try to listen, dude. Several nations, the United States at the forefront, have reported to have developed non-nuclear bombs capable of generating EMPs, dude. This comes from the Washington State Department of Health, dude. Electromagnetic pulses 2003 fact sheet 320-090, dude. And that's the first one that I came across. So your whole thing that it's a nuclear bomb is a discredited right there, dude. So I don't even know why I'm getting into it with.
It used to be so much easier to control 1 million people than to kill them. But today it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control them. Zbigniew Brzezinski. I don't know, man.
I like you're talking an EMP. That's all we've been talking about. Gary, the cult guy, dude. See, I can't stand these dudes. All right, you're just.
So there's electromagnetic pulse, and then there's electromagnetic crowd control, right? Those are two different things.
Those are two totally different things, dude. We're literally talking about. I was talking about the electromagnetic stuff for crowd control in regards to 2020. I'm literally talking about electromagnetic pulse bombs right here, dude. Plenty of information about it.
Active denial technology is crowd control, and magnetic pulse is it's having to do with our radio frequency, RF. You just disrupt the radio frequency feed, and you basically.
Well, there's two different things. There's the localized, and then there's the destruction of the actual equipment. You know what I mean?
Localized would be like the ability to transmit a message.
Localized is like those trucks they bring out, and they can shut down the signal.
Okay.
But an EMP is the electromagnetic pulse, which fries all your gear. That's why all the doomsdayers and stuff keep their stuff in Faraday cages and why you're supposed to, that's why you're supposed to have an old car without the magneto in it, dude. Keep your magneto safe.
You mean I gotta get rid of my Subi?
Yeah,
my Subi has
your Subi will get fried. Your Subi will get fried, dude. Chill, son.
That's the thing, man. It's like at that point, you know, the goal is to not be attached to your Subi by that point.
That's what horses are for, bro.
Exactly.
Anyway, dude. I think we beat this horse long enough, dude.
Gary got EMP'd.
Gary, dude. Oh, dude. He's a scientist, dude. He's a scientist.
Build back bigger.
Back bigger and better, dude.
Build big, blink, black, blink. Bling, bling, bling. I think JFK was shot by his driver.
There's like a weird like non-understanding of even like Austin, that half those missiles are coming from deep within Russia, right?
The destruction of the equipment has happened just now.
They didn't hit anything they want.
Not in Kyiv, but no one's got service in Mariupol or Kharkiv, etc.
So again, I'm gonna go to the thing as like
they're attacking the cell towers. But again, not in the central part where it's most important.
Not the big tower where the actor elf
is little towers, man.
His message, dude. Where the main elf is broadcasting his message. They're like, let's leave that one alone. And then, again, that's where I just go, the thing's nonsense. Like, again, like, so you're not gonna hit that. You're gonna let the elf talk. The little guy,
What's
dude.
paraplegic bear saying? Come on, let's get.
What is paraplegic bear saying, dude?
Tell
Drink
me
my
why
coffee.
people were out doing. Oh yeah, 6 people in JFK Cornell.
They're not there yet, dude. They literally were blowing up an airplane hangar that repairs MiGs on in Western Ukraine the other day. They have that sort of pinpoint accuracy, but they're not going to take out the communications tower in downtown. All right.
Hillary loaded the clip.
Austin, you do realize that the missiles fly. They don't have to put them there. They don't have to walk up to them.
Austin, are you
Austin's all right. He's old. He's an old school viewer, dude. He's allowed to like poke around a little bit.
Okay, no worries.
Gary the cult guy, I've never seen that dude before, dude.
All good.
Austin's allowed to say they're not
Go for it,
dude.
He sounds like he's got some intel and
he's like, basically what he's saying is they haven't parachuted in with the bag of C4, dude. Yeah, they're gonna. Where are the paratroopers, dude? Where are the paratroopers? The world
rhymes with weed.
Where are the skydivers, bro?
They're gonna parachute in like, purple Urple. Nuclear reactor with Alexandra. There's Gary.
Gary the
Gary
cult
an EMP tech. Maybe Gary is an EMP tech. Did you ever think of that? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys are speaking the same language. He just has some deeper insights that you.
I don't know. He doesn't seem to be us saying on the same page, but whatever.
Gary's back. Gary, I'm always ready.
Gary's all right, dude.
No, he's all good, man.
It's just Gary V. Cult, dude.
Like Gary Vaynerchuk.
Cult. I don't know. He's got cult in his name, dude. So
well, Gary V is a great marketer guy, and he happens to want to buy the New York Jets.
Who's Gary V? So I don't even know.
Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a Gary Vaynerchuk is the investor in all the tech companies who has a marketing firm called VaynerMedia.
Wow.
And he has obviously guys out there that really love him, and they name he's a part of the Gary V cult, probably.
Oh, I got you.
Ask him to be honest with you and say, are you a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk? Gary, are you a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk?
Jordan's got you.
Gary is a Belarusian American entrepreneur. So I got your card, Gary. I know you're fanning out.
So Cult of Gary V is a disinformation campaign. He's a Russian asset. Is that it? He's Belarusian. I don't know. I'm confused, dude. Whatever happened to those guys? I thought they'd signed up to host some nukes in their backyard, dude. I see there's not a love for Gary, the real Gary V here, dude. They seem to know more than I do.
Yeah, Gary V's pretty he's a big deal in the millennial crowd. He's telling everyone to invest in NFTs and imaginary assets. Other fictional assets that don't actually have any intrinsic value whatsoever at all. Are you blocking people? Should we?
No.
Okay.
I'm right here because he keeps going on about this EMP radiation, nuclear bomb things. And again, I pulled up the thing, how stuff works, dude.
You know what's interesting is that he might be holding on to the fact that it's gamma radiation. Get it?
Gamma radiation.
Now, this electromagnetic pulse is an electromagnetic wave similar to radio waves, which results from secondary reactions occurring when the nuclear gamma radiation is absorbed in the air or ground. It differs from the usual radio waves in two important ways. First, it creates a much higher electrical field strength, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, this is a electromagnetic pulse. Is that always like something that requires a machine, or is that also occurring in nature?
Well, the sun does it, dude. That's what the solar flares are.
Yeah. So
that's called the Carrington effect.
So what I'm saying though is that, like, whatever Gary's talking about is he trying to?
Dude, I got the thing right up here, how E-bombs work, dude. And literally the technology advanced and expensive, and so would be inaccessible for military force without considerable resources. But that's one piece of the E-bomb story. Using inexpensive supplies and rudimentary engineering knowledge, a terrorist could easily construct a dangerous E-bomb device. This goes into a whole thing about nothing in the order of a nuclear attack, EMP attacks. It goes into the thing. It's got nothing to do with nuclear, dude. I'm reading how it works right here, dude. I appreciate Gary for making me dig into this deeper, dude, just to be like, okay, whatever, bro. Thanks for proving my point. Just thanks for proving my point. Anyway, on that, dude, Gary and Terry, dude, yeah. Anyway, so
what's the end? What in closing? Like, what's the solution? Can we get some like action items to what should we be doing to reinvigorate ourselves and to
occupy the land, baby? Go move. This is a great time to invest in yourself, as always. While everyone's distracted by what is Ira doing right now? What are all the movers and shakers doing? Are the movers and shakers concerned? No, they're not. They are building stuff. They were buying stuff. They are planting stuff.
Henry Kissinger, the most overweight, unhealthy man on this planet, has not actually caught COVID, which is, he happens to be the most. He happens to be in the ear of the Kremlin and the U.S. government and Israel all at the same time. Isn't that amazing?
Try it on. Put your cell phone in the microwave for 30 seconds. I think it's that thing of just like, let the people who want to believe what they want to believe what they need to believe, dude. And I'm gonna go and
don't hold on to my package, paraplegic. You don't have permission to hold my package, my friend.
Package holder, dude.
But yeah, take your hands off my package.
But with that said, yeah, I think it's all just stop looking at signs in front of gas stations and start like living in abundance, man. It's the same old, dude. Just don't look at the signs, dude.
Okay, I someone told me they had posted something on Facebook today. They're like they posted something about the gas prices, being like, what was it? Shoot, now I'm forget. I gotta. Anyways, I'll get to it. It was going to be kind of funny, but it was my comeback line for what was it? Oh, yeah, they said I just filled up the gas tank like I'm some kind of millionaire. So I said, just fill it halfway and pretend you filled it full and everything will be okay. Then drive drive half the distance. Right? There you go.
Yeah.
Drive half the distance. Pretend it's full.
Just don't look. Just don't look at it.
Okay. Yeah, it's I know, man. Like it's like, what are you gonna spend? It's terrible, but I don't know. Like that's why we have to hustle. Like we have to have other ways of earning money, other ways of getting Irish shekels. Because if we're just, yeah, I mean it's you know, it's a little bit
I think you just keep moving forward with God and you're good to go, man.
Totally. God will provide. Absolutely.
Yeah, God will take care of us all, dude. That's the whole gig.
Yeah, no limited mindset. All right.
Yeah, I got to call this kid who's needs some like real life help.
All right, brother.
All right, man.
Always a pleasure.
God has blessed us, brother. We'll go home, hug the children, and see you on the flip side, dude.
See you on the flip side. I'll meet you at the border of Kyiv, okay?
Yeah. I'm flying over tomorrow, dude.
Gonna fight for a country I never heard of except 24 days ago.
America.
Yeah, whatever it takes, man. I'm ready.
Whatever the cause is tomorrow, I'm gonna be first in line, dude. May there be many causes to choose from tomorrow.
Stay vaxxed, okay?
Stay sauce. All right. Good night, my brother. Peace.